I was thinking about starting this off with you're getting sacked in the morning chant for Pep, but I listened to a lot of stuff today, and to be honest, I didn't really want to come here and like hammer into him and City. I know there's 3 Liverpool fans here and a Man United fan, so we're probably a bit happy that they got beat, but I didn't want to do that because at the end of the day, you've probably seen potentially the greatest team in England. I mean, what have they won? 4 league titles in a row? 6 out of 7, as Pep reminded everybody yesterday. So I don't want to like dig into City. Just want to talk about the game, and then we can do as we always do and talk about the other sides of the league. Because at the end of the day, throw some digs in there because it was quite funny that he snapped and did that. To be honest, I quite liked it. It was funny. I think that shows when you're having to do that, you're starting to try and remind everyone of what you've done. I think we said that about Ten Hag a lot. He was reminding people of the trophies he'd won. To start with. So I just thought that was interesting for Pep, but we'll dive into it. Matthew, I was thinking about starting it with you, since we watched it together. I picked this game because, let's be honest, in the last kind of 5 seasons or so, it's probably been the game that everyone's been tuning into. It's been the 2 teams that have been going for the title. Arsenal have added themselves into the equation in the last 2 years, absolutely. But Liverpool and City has been the 2 big games. It felt like it coming into it, obviously with the situation that if Liverpool win, they can go 11 points clear. And City are in, you would say, a crisis for them. A lot of teams lose 5 games. What's that now? 7? 6? What are we on?
It's 4 league games in a row.
4 league games.
6 defeats and a draw.
And a draw.
Yeah.
6 defeats and a draw. Which for other teams, that happens to them every season, but not for City. But it was a game. I think, Matthew, for me, it went how I think everyone kind of thought it would go. Liverpool came in. I think the most impressive thing from Liverpool was, I think, and under Slot so far, they've showed this season, they're doing what they should do in the game. Like they're performing and they're getting the result that they should get. Yeah. And I thought they did Liverpool, yeah. And I thought they did that yesterday. So go on, we watched it together. You kick us off. Just overall thoughts on the game.
I just thought the biggest difference I thought when I was watching it, and to be honest, I've thought this the whole season watching Liverpool, is like, I think if that was Klopp, that spell that we had where City probably had, was it maybe like a 25-minute spell of when they came into the game? Was it maybe was it that long? I don't.
Second half.
Yeah, second half.
When Doku and Savino came on.
When they were kind of just like, they didn't really like. Yeah. But I think the difference this year is, we're really comfortable if we do need to sit back and defend and try and do that. Which I think under Klopp, like it probably would have just been end to end and it would have been chaos and it probably would have suited City a bit more. But I don't really think like it was comfortable for Liverpool. But I mean, if you think about it, if we scored one of those chances in the first like 15-20, went 2-0 within that time frame, I think it would have been a totally different game.
Yeah.
That's the most confident I've been going into a Liverpool City game. Obviously, with the situation City in, I mean, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I just thought it's exactly what we've done all season.
Yeah.
And I think at Anfield as well, I just don't really think they could. They were no way set up to handle that whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that you said there, this is for everyone, whoever wants to take it, you said there that Liverpool this season under Slot, we've said it a few times, there was moments you're a bit nervy, but when the game finished and you kind of relax a bit, Kelleher makes a save when Van Dijk makes the mistake. Does City really have a chance in the game?
No, there was a lot of probing in and around the box.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't really. I agree. Maybe like a little bit nervous as a Liverpool fan, but for me watching as a neutral, it didn't really feel like you're under much.
Yeah,
Doku made a bit of a difference. I think he gave Trent a tough time when he came on a bit. Like
he
gave them a different dimension. But again, all his balls, like Van Dijk was amazing.
He was good. He was back to his best day.
All his ball, he just like his positioning and sense. So like he was an absolute man mountain back there.
Yep.
I think Neville said that at one point. He was like, every time the ball goes into the box, it's Van Dijk there, and that's not luck. It's like,
and that's both boxes.
Yeah.
He should have scored. Well, it's a great save.
Mate, I had money on him first goal scorer.
Did you?
Yeah.
And my dad had him to have 2.
A fiver on.
Should have had him to have 2. Mate.
Fiver on was returning me 150 return off first goal scorer, and he hit the post when I was fucking
and he should have scored the other one.
Should have.
So I think it was actually quite comfortable. Like, it was just a lot kind of side to side, a little bit probing, but there wasn't many shots.
I know they struggled to like.
They didn't create anything.
Easy
really.
to say afterwards, but they just didn't create compared to like how good they have been over recent years. To just create literally nothing. I think, as you say, Rico Lewis had that little toe poke
Yeah.
in like the 38th minute. I think they were
Yeah.
like, that's their first shot, and it's obviously like dribbled out past the post. It wasn't exactly threatening. They were a little bit better in the second half, but I do think that's obviously down to Liverpool sitting off a wee bit, as you say.
Yeah.
But for me, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, those like legs in midfield are just a joke.
Huge.
Like Szoboszlai's like literally the trigger for the press almost sometimes. Like he's the furthest man forward just because he looks like he could just run all day.
Yeah,
which
and
does make a difference.
You talk about legs too, like that's what City have lost, eh? They've
Yeah.
lost the legs. And I know Rodri is a huge loss. And we had loads of chat about it the other day, and I think he's a very important player, and it's a loss, right? It's like if Liverpool lost Van Dijk, the level
Yeah,
would
massively.
dip. But everything out, all the other dominoes are falling. Like they don't have the legs in midfield because they're losing. The confidence is going. Yeah, it's the weakest mentally. Liverpool scored the goal. What was it, about 11 minutes in or something like that, roughly? And Matthew, like me, the camera panned to the City players walking back to the centre circle.
Heads down,
And
walking
me and
back.
you looked at each other and went, they're done
fucked,
already.
yeah.
They're done. Like, they're
Yeah.
not coming back into this. No way.
I think they did make a good point on Sky Sports as well to go back to City's midfield and obviously like ridiculously good footballers. But at one point playing centre mids, they had Rico Lewis and Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
Which, like, as I say, I'm like, especially Bernardo Silva, so good on the ball, obviously won everything. But there's surely a bit of an issue there if he's your, like, get in there and get the ball one midfielder. Although he is good at it, but when you've got a bunch of young Liverpool lads chasing him, I mean, he gave the ball away more times in his own half than I've probably ever seen him do
Yes.
yesterday.
He was rattled.
Yeah.
I was thinking this though, like I was thinking about the Rodri issue and how much of we all knew it was going to be a massive blow, a massive problem. I didn't think it'd be like this bad.
Yeah.
And then they lose Kovacic. We've seen John Stones play there in a Champions League final against Inter Milan and be like the best player in the park, like
Yeah.
in that sort of role. So those three are missing. I'm looking around the rest of the cities.
Breaking news on BBC over there.
I'm thinking like, what does Pep actually do? Like, who would you put in? Because like the midfielders are like Gundogan, Silva, Mateus Nunes, Rico Lewis. None of them you want there. Like Rico Lewis isn't an actual midfielder. He's good at coming in maybe
Pep
from inverted
said-
fullback.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, they're not naturally. They don't have that like instinct that Rodri has to get second balls, to track third man runs.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the rest of the squad though. Like, who actually doesn't have anyone to do it? Eh?
Pep said that. He said he doesn't have an alternative. He's like, what do you want me to do? He's like, what am I meant to do here?
Whose
I
fault's that,
need
though?
to play Gundogan. I need to play Bernardo Silva there. He's like, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Whose fault's that? It's one of those. It's tough because
Well,
Bring back Calvin
you're missing
Phillips.
both you're missing both your holding midfielders. I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
it is a bit of bad luck as well. But
It's like it's the same in a different position. Well, two different positions. But if you took Van Dijk and Salah, who are probably those two pillars for Liverpool, if you're missing one, the level dips. The problem is you can't have someone else behind him that's not too far off him because he's never playing.
Yeah.
So like you can't really sign someone else for Rodri's position. And that it was really annoying me was when they were talking about that before the game, and everyone's saying they need to go into the market in January. For what? For 2 months until he comes back. You can't go into the market and buy someone else because as soon as Rodri's back, he's back in the team.
well, you can go loan someone for the.
Could loan
the
somebody, I
season.
guess, but what level are they going to be at?
Well, you could try bringing a
Yeah.
top class holding midfielder, and then he just goes back when Rodgers.
But why? What January too? Like, why would you let Zubimendi go on loan, for example? It's just picking him out of the hat for the.
Well, it would
second
have to be someone that would have to work on both ends.
Yeah, I just don't know. He's gonna have to find a solution himself. But I
It's-
think everyone can see, and he said it. The solution's not in the squad.
He needs to buy. He does 100% need to buy someone for that position that is naturally a holding player that is good on the ball, is very defensively aware of where to be for the second balls dropping, just tracking, just things that go under the radar. I
Yeah.
think Rodri's physical presence, you don't really think about it straight off the bat. But he's 6'3", he's strong as an ox. And then, like you're saying earlier on, you're replacing him with Rico Lewis, Bernardo Silva,
Yeah.
who are both like, I mean, they both must be under about 5'8". You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Of all the decisions that he made, to be fair, and like who am I to sit and criticise Pep, but Nunes out on the left, I just think it's the weirdest thing.
He's been doing that for a
He's
couple of
just
games.
never a left midfielder for me.
Yeah.
So slow. Do you not think
When
the
you
City
look how
team had no
when you
pace?
look how
though?
it changed a bit when Doku came on, you just wonder why I didn't go with that from the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
I think he's been injured though. To be fair, but I was looking at it and I was like, City have no pace.
Yeah.
Or
Like they're playing. What was it? Bernardo Silva, Foden, Nunes, Haaland. Like I was
Rico
looking
Lewis.
at it.
He
And
played
I was
like
they
four
don't-
centre midfielders.
Yeah,
give or
fair.
take. Foden, you can maybe say no.
Surely
But
even if you're like a Jack Grealish,
yeah,
if you're sitting on the bench and Nunes is starting off the left before you, surely
Yeah.
you're sitting there going, "Fuck that! I'll get
Yeah.
back to Villa."
I think there's issues there
I
personally,
agree. To be
but I don't
fair.
think Jack Grealish's a good trainer. I don't think Pep. Like, I don't really think a lot of folk get away with not being a good trainer without
I don't know if you're going to
him. But
just on that. What do you think's going on between De Bruyne and Pep?
yeah, something's happened. Something's
I think
happened.
Something must
So-
have happened.
They fell out the end. Was it the end of last season? They fell out a little bit.
He looks
Williams
miles
ends
off it.
Yeah.
Miles
Yeah.
off it.
Yeah,
When
I
he
think
comes-
he'll get.
when
I
he
think he'll get
comes
fat on
on.
that. He'll get fat on that soon, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, he'll be one of those players where you'll see in a couple months, and he'll be fucking chunky at the hips, he'll have a wee belly and that.
Like the
Generally,
Brazilians all
mate.
get.
Oh, 100%, mate. He's a lazy bastard, man.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
His
they're
touch
not,
on that was awful yesterday when he came
Yeah.
on. Like he couldn't. Like it was just.
It just
He's
doesn't
not
look
sharp,
fit,
mate.
does
He's
it?
not
Yeah.
sharp
they're
at
not
all.
seeing eye to eye on where each other think they're at, are they? I
Yeah.
think De Bruyne's thinking, and wrongly so, what we're saying. I think he's thinking he should still be there, and I think Pep's like, mate, you're off it.
Yeah.
You're well off it.
It's meant to be really difficult. Like, see, constantly, loads of players have like spoke about like playing under Pep. It's like the demands are ridiculous, and it's also just constantly positional play. So you don't actually have like a certain amount of freedom.
Yeah.
The way Pep plays is like when the ball's here, you need to be here and you need to do this.
Mhm.
And supposedly with a lot of players, like it's that's why a lot of players struggle to then like it takes time for them to get into the team and understand that. But a lot of players say like doing that for a long period of time, it just gets a bit like repetitive and you don't really play with like ultimate freedom. It's just so positional and it's like this is this. But it's
E-
an interesting thought. But
Even
I
what
don't know.
you said earlier, Ali, about yourself getting injured, and we're all getting a little bit older, and it's the thought process of like having to start with the match fitness lower
Yeah.
and get yourself back into the team, and probably an element of, not to call his character, I don't mean this in like that way, but an element of De Bruyne is the hunger still there to get back to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's been pretty open and honest, to be fair to him, and said like the Saudi money's floating about, and
Yeah.
for him that's like generational
Yeah.
wealth. I mean, he's obviously caked, but like he's literally came up before and said that's my like great grandkids sorted. So I think he will disappear, to be fair. But
Very Gerrard like
It's
with
a-
his body. His body's like, remember Gerrard towards the end was the same. It was
Slow.
like you wanted him to play, but you could see he'd lost the yard of it. You could
Yeah.
see he lost it. Very like that. Yeah, it's interesting with City. I mean, I don't know.
it's dangerous. Like
It's dangerous. Yeah.
I think there's loads of things you can look at, but it's a bit of a
Talking
slippery
about that
slope,
hunger, though, like, and you're saying, is De Bruyne hungry enough to get back in the fit? I just think the hunger in the whole team to be at the level that they've been at for the last 6-7 years is gone.
yeah,
Yes.
100%,
Just-
mate, 100%.
It's like we touched on in the text earlier on, like Haaland's having a joke with Salah after the game,
Yep.
and you rewind 7 or 8 weeks ago when they played Arsenal, and he's telling Arteta to stay humble, and he's right up for the fight.
Exactly.
And now things have like gone off the boil a bit. They're just giving up.
I don't
So they
think
can't
you
be bothered
want
with it.
you don't want them when you're in the trenches. Like I was saying that you don't want like I don't really think you want Haaland when you're in the trenches. De Bruyne, like you kind of look at these boys and like when you're winning and everything's like, and you're constantly having the ball, you don't defend much. They're absolute in dreamland.
So
Like
test your
nah,
character,
they're in
isn't it?
they're in the trenches now. Like because
Yeah.
maybe do you reckon it's a bit of an aspect like teams maybe potentially figuring them out and stuff as well. I mean, I don't.
Not really. I think. Sorry, I wrote this down. If I can get this up, it's a good thing that you said that because I remembered I wrote this just at the end. I think City, when City at their absolute best and Pep at his absolute best, his teams suffocate you, and you can't even get out your own half. And what starts to happen, I think we've all played, the belief of the other team starts to wane. And as we know, as soon as City get one in that game, well, what the other team going to do? They're going to open up and they're going to tear you to shreds. And I think it happened with Liverpool when we dipped a bit under Klopp too. Teams now start to come to you with belief that they can get something and they know they can get through you, and it makes the other team play completely differently, and all of a sudden you're having to run more and you're not in the right place, and then you're losing and your confidence goes. They're not suffocating the life out of anyone. They haven't been doing it for the last 6-7 games at all.
Even
Yeah.
yesterday, if you look at the amount of time that like Van Dijk, Gomez over to Trent, like kind of just passed it about the back, or like we'd knock it back to Kelleher, and like they never really ever tried to press him, did they? As you say, in terms of like suffocating them in the half, like they just had all the time in the world.
Too
just
low in
to-
confidence to go and do that
they
at
didn't
Anfield.
want
I
to go
think.
up that extra.
Bernardo
10,
Silva
15
summed it
yards.
up with Salah when that little thing happened, when he like stood over him and it was 2-0 and Salah kind of looked like he was saying to him, it's 2-0. Like that's something we've all been there where you can't get close to the other team and you're off it and you get pissed off. So you just kind of like, where can I get a wee dig in at someone here?
Liverpool
Do you
were
know what I mean?
really good though. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought they were spot on in their approach and everything. Tactically as well, like with him changing it and stuff as well, like every time it goes into the second half, I'm like, what are we going to do different here? And we always do something different, and and then the other team has to think about it. He's fucking really, really good. Like really good.
He's got the balance.
I think under Klopp, I don't really remember too much. Like we would always just come out of a 4-3-3, we'd build the same and everything, but like under Slaughter, it's totally different. It's really interesting. Back four is really interesting to me as well. He does with them.
Did you notice him wave Robbo over when they were getting a bit of pressure, and he just told Robbo to follow Rico Lewis for a bit?
Oh, he did.
Did
he? Yeah,
you
he
go
did.
back and watch it. There's times where like Gakpo almost becomes the left back because Robbo's just like ran forward with Rico Lewis into basically centre mid.
Slot said he knew that they were going to have a spell where it would be like your typical City like bombardment type thing. I mean, obviously they did have that spell. It was always going to happen.
They had it without as we said earlier, they had it without any chance being created though. It was very comfortable.
There's no runs or like penetration behind or like.
Neville said that, didn't he, on the commentary? City have got the most joy against Liverpool when they've come and Foden's playing in that pocket in between Robbo and the left winger, and he's running behind and vice versa. I mean, I wanted to go over this because
they're all a bit off the boil.
They're off the boil, right? But
none of them are on form. Confidence is
everyone's confidence is dead. It's a fucking awful place to be in. Like,
to go back to the Haaland point, because I actually thought him having like, if you want to say a laugh or not, but like, because him and Van Dijk were kind of chatting throughout the game, and sometimes I think Haaland actually just seems like a sound cunt.
Yeah.
And I honestly think sometimes you'll just be like, they got the better of me today, so I'm just going to chat about it. Where against Arsenal, I genuinely think he thinks, no, I'm better than you, so that's when I'm going to be a prick.
I think Pep said it after the game. I texted it today, and it was on Sky Sports News. He said that he basically alluded to, I knew we were going to reset after this game, as if to be like, I've counted this one out. And I thought he looked like that when the game was starting and the camera panned to him and he was sat there. And I thought, he looks like he knows what's about to happen. And his team doesn't have it in them to get through that first 15 minutes. I mean, that first 8 minutes felt like it was 20. I couldn't believe how much we created in such a short amount of time. It was fucking unreal. But like to go on to like City, because I thought this was interesting. It's quite intriguing. So since this season that they bought Haaland, right? So 22-23, they bring in Haaland, they bring in right, you would say obviously, regardless of the form, what a signing, right? Unbelievable. They brought in Calvin Phillips, hasn't really worked. Akanji has been all right for them, in fairness. I'd say he's fine. He's started sometimes. He's a good player to have around. They brought in that Sergio Gomez, and they also got Julian Alvarez in that season. In 22-23, they let go. This is the year they let go of Sterling, Jesus, and Zinchenko. João Cancelo also falls out with Pep. Fernandinho finishes, right? So, okay, if you go into 23-24, so that's last season, eh? Yeah. They bring in Garvadal, they bring in Nunez, they bring in Doku, they bring in Kovacic. They let go of Cole Palmer, Mahrez, Laporte. Calvin Phillips goes on loan to West Ham. Gundogan goes to Barca. Mendy has his problems, and then Cancelo goes on loan to Barca. This year they brought in Savinho, who looks okay. I think there's definitely a player there. They brought Gundogan back. They've let go of Alvarez and Calvin Phillips. I don't know. Their business hasn't been amazing.
I looked at this when you first sent it, and the first thing I noticed, especially this season, there's got to be something about the financial fair play situation, because I think I looked at that and they've sold best part of 140 million euros worth of player and brought in Savinho for 25 million. Yeah. So the elephant in the room is obviously they must be trying to just play it a little bit safer with what's going on
until it's over.
What if Haaland gets injured? Who plays?
Nobody.
That's a great question.
Who does play?
They obviously let go of Julian Alvarez. I thought they were going to replace. Obviously, to bring in someone that obviously play second fiddle, but they've not either. If Haaland gets injured, Jenny, who plays as a 9 for them? Who plays on the middle?
No
Foden. They play Foden there.
Change your system, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to completely just play like with a false 9.
Yeah.
Imagine that happens, man.
It's interesting. I think it's really, like I say, we're not trying to come in here and kick Pep and City when they're down, but it's interesting because City haven't ever done this, and Pep has never had this at all. Like, you can see he never won the Champions League at Bayern Munich and all that stuff, and he just won one with City, so it's hard to win that. But he's never been in this situation where he does really look like he needs to get things back on track. Like, they lose games, of course they do, but it's never been this bad. So it's going to be intriguing to see how he handles it.
Oh yeah, it looks like he's ran out of ideas.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like completely done. He just doesn't know what to do anymore.
Yep.
He must fancy going again though, because he just signed another
I know.
deal, right? So
That's interesting,
was he
eh?
2027? No.
I
was it
thought that
2026?
would be I kept telling them my fantasy team because I thought that was going to be the bounce to get them back going again, and that's not kicked them off either, has it? It's not kicked them off at all.
It's just the way that they're losing games, right, and they're conceding lots of goals, which has been well documented with how like vulnerable they are now.
Yes.
But they don't create anything anymore. They're not really bossing games at all. Like Liverpool absolutely battered them, and then they didn't score against Spurs. They're scoring maybe the odd goal. And the other game against Spurs was 2-1. Apart from the Feyenoord game when they scored 3,
Yes.
they've not scored any goals either. They're not controlling games. They're not moving the ball quick. They're all
Gary-
over the place.
Gary Neville made a good point on his podcast about that Feyenoord game in particular of like Spurs came and fair enough, did you? But that can happen, like whatever. But being 3-0 up at home against like, no disrespect to like the Dutch league or whatnot, but probably weaker opposition, they'll be sitting in there at halftime thinking like, right, we just coast this one out, 3-0 onto Liverpool, and then like fucking hell, we've drawn 3-3,
That's
and
the
now
killer.
we've got to go to Anfield. Like Neville did say that, he was like, that one hurts
More.
potentially more.
Because even in the times they've been amazing, they've lost to Spurs, who are a bogey team, and you can come to Anfield and get beat.
Yeah.
And as I sent that stat twice.
Not like
in
that,
a day. Not like that. Not like that. Fair enough. But they've only won at Anfield once, and that was when there was no fans in COVID,
Yeah.
since 2000
And Alisson decided to like pass forward.
Yeah, so like you could lose those games, but I agree with Greg. When they conceded one against Feyenoord, I watched it. You could tell they were going to concede the other two. You could see it coming. You could see Pep obviously scratch his face and that. You could see he knew it. Like they don't have the steel about them, do they? They don't. He knows this group doesn't have the dig in them to get themselves like out of it. And I think that's been a big thing. Because let's talk a little bit about Liverpool. Ali, we'll come to you because you're more of a neutral on it. But we talked about Van Dijk. I don't know if you guys seen Carragher's tweet that everyone was going on about, but I'll read it out. So Carragher tweeted yesterday, Virgil van Dijk performance today was unbelievable. I know he made a mistake at the end. He made Erling Haaland look like Alfie Inge Haaland. Is that his dad? I don't even know who that is. The best striker versus the best centre-back should be a great battle, but it's so easy for him. He's the best centre-back we've ever seen in the Premier League. I know the replies will scream Liverpool bias. Or compare trophies to others, but that's all nonsense. I always said it was John Terry before Van Dijk came along, and he played for one of my biggest rivals in Chelsea. Trophies depend on your team or money or timing. All great defenders of the past had attackers who caused them problems, but who's ever really caused Van Dijk any? He's just played against Mbappe and Haaland in the last 4 days, and played them with such ease he could have played with a cigar. Please stop this silly debate about the best centre-back. It's not even close.
Yeah. It's weird because see, like last year, or maybe not last year. When did they go right off the boil?
It was after his ACL.
Yeah, so just at the year after COVID.
And then we got all those injuries as well.
Yeah.
Though. And
Well,
He
Yeah.
did have a couple of years when I thought he
did.
looks a bit done.
21-22, he was ACL, COVID, and then the following year he was.
But yeah,
so-
how he's playing this season is unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
back to his best. Yeah, you can't argue with what Carragher's saying, can you?
No, I don't think so.
Not from the defenders that we've seen in our lifetime. Like John Terry probably is the one that sticks out.
Yeah.
Rio Ferdinand as well, but
Vidic. I think it's always tough as well because it's like different times in terms of. I certainly don't think like Vidic or Terry could go and do what Van Dijk does now.
No.
But could you necessarily? You maybe could, but could you get Virgil to go and do what they did back then? Like you never know, right? Like coming up against like I know Haaland's a big boy and rapid, but coming up against your Drogba's and that every week would have been a different challenge.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with
yeah, right though. He does play like every game. It looks like he's in second gear.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't sprint. It looks like he's not sprinting.
He reads it well, eh?
I'll tell you who did cause him problems.
Yeah.
It's that big boy up top for Southampton.
Yeah, he
Did you
did actually.
see the size of him?
He was good, man. He was good.
Someone
He
get
thought
his what's his background?
I'll try. I'll get him up, mate. I'll get
Get
him
his Wikipedia up,
up from last Saturday
mate.
or
Like,
Sunday it was.
did anyone know like that he played for Southampton? Like that?
No, here's
No,
Josh, I'll
I
get
thought
that
we were going
one.
to play
I've
with
got
Adam
it here, I've
Armstrong
got
up
it
there
here.
against M2, and I'm sitting here with my hands.
Paul
First 5 minutes, I was
Onuachu?
like,
Is that how I would say it? Onuachu? Sorry if I'm
where'd they
pronouncing
get
that.
him from?
He's 30 years old.
Is he?
From Nigeria.
Uh-huh.
They got him from they got him from Trabzonspor in 2023. He's played 6 games and scored 0 goals, got 0 assists. But he did cause problems.
Doesn't
that I
matter,
heard of.
mate.
Yeah.
bullied the best centre half ever.
Really,
What a
yeah,
What a career that is, man.
I don't think anyone's seen that coming from Southampton, and that's what you've got to try. I think you've got to try and do that. But this Liverpool team has got.
Well,
They had it under Klopp too. The best teams are able to adapt to the game in the game, and you
We're
have
s-
your game plan, but you adapt to the game.
we're so hard to play against though because we're fucking like physical.
I was gonna say
We're
that.
also we've got everything, man. Like we must be so hard to play against. Because even if you look, even look what Leverkusen done with sticking Boniface out on the left wing when
Yeah.
they played with no striker. And when they were building, they put Boniface. They tried to stick him on Trent
They did.
because they were
Slot was
literally like, we
unexpected at
cannot go. I mean, obviously when Kanati's playing, imagine being a centre forward and thinking I'm up against Van Dijk and Kanati today.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you think the
let
size
me get out
thing's
of my bed though.
the size thing's interesting? It looked like no one was close to Van Dijk's height whatsoever on that pitch yesterday. Every time City had we had a corner, I'm like, who the fuck is? And I'm like, I'd put Diaz on him. I'd feel like I would just go old. I'm quite old school with that stuff. See, if I coached, even at that level, I'd be like, who's their best header? Van Dijk. Who's my best header? Let's say Diaz, if he is. I'm just fucking marking him.
Here, who was marking him again? Because there was one point I remember thinking,
Walker?
why is he marking him?
Kyle
Was it
Walker
Walker?
was at one point.
There was
yeah.
someone else. Like they had a couple of things, but how it was at Craig's when we were watching the Arsenal game before the Cayley too, and all the boys were like, look how big Calafiori is, and like Gabriel and Saliba, like height and size. We're talking about missing Rodri. It's so important now in football, isn't it?
Yeah.
It probably always
Well,
has
it's
been.
not. It's just the
Souness
fact-
was probably
set pieces are huge, man.
Souness, for
Set
example.
pieces is the difference, or probably
Yeah.
potential. Well, it could be the difference in terms of like winning
But
the
just
league
your-
and title, and that's huge.
Your athleticism. Like if I play against Ali, look at the size difference. Like there's no way I compete against Ali. So like if you're a big, strong athlete
yeah,
at
but
that
you don't
level,
need to be big though.
you don't need to be big. But I'm saying if you look at Arteta's gone big on big boys in height. He's gone big on that. Pep has definitely gone a bit bigger on that in recent years with the team that he's playing with. Liverpool are fucking huge, mate. Trent's not small. Trent's 6-something. Nunez.
So Bosley's a big boy.
Sabozlai's a big boy. Gravenberch. Like, everyone's massive.
Aye.
There's not a lot of
Yeah, I
small
don't-
guys. Like, we always say Elliot's great. He struggles because he's smaller.
Mm.
He does struggle because he's smaller. That is the thing, unfortunately. If you're smaller, you have to be quicker in your head because you can't. There's no way Elliot, or maybe he's probably sure he's jacked, but like Elliot against Rodri is going to be a tough physical battle. He's just not going to win that. He isn't going to win
Everyone
that.
always says the levels as you go up, as
Yeah.
you're playing. Obviously, the
The size of them would be massive.
physicality and the pace of it is quicker.
But I think also always makes everyone that he plays with amazing. Eh?
Oh mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it elevates Kanati's game.
Yeah.
Joe Gomez was amazing.
He
Yep.
was a good
I thought
player.
that as well. Joe Gomez has a ping on him.
Yeah.
Carragher spoke about that before the game, to be fair. If you look at like Matip, Gomez, Kanati, like the ones that have played in there with him, like it must be so nice knowing, even though I do make a little bit of a mistake, like Virgil will probably get there
He's
for
there.
me.
I actually only think the reason that he actually made that mistake with De Bruyne was because the game was that easy for him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Just a little bit of lack of
Switched off.
concentration.
Yeah,
being
100%.
clever.
You could tell,
And he just got it nicked off him. But see if
I
that was
agree.
a close game, he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
Nah,
I agree.
I agree with that, mate. Do you think maybe just wrapping up on this game and we can talk about the other things? It's interesting to see where City and Pep go from here. He's not been in this situation. I mean, they play Forest at home on Wednesday night. It's not easy. That's not an easy one. Forest have been all right this season, and they'll frustrate them too. And if we're saying they're blunt, Forest will be happy to have Nuno sit 5 behind the ball.
Yeah.
And it'll be hard to break them down, and Forest will get belief out of them. So that'll be interesting. See how Slot handles this now. It's the Christmas period. You've got the games coming thick and fast. Liverpool are away at Newcastle, away at Everton. Last ever derby at Goodison. Got to remember, Arsenal and Chelsea are only 9. You say it's 11, but it's 9. Everyone keeps saying 11. It's 9. It's a new challenge for Slot now and the Liverpool team to not let the door open for Arsenal and Chelsea. Now you don't let the door open. You've got a bit of wiggle room to maybe draw a game here or there, but you
You'll-
don't let the door open.
You obviously don't. You obviously it's far too early to say Liverpool are going to win the league or
Yeah.
the league's done, but they just don't look like they're going to lose. And
I
the
know.
fact that they need to lose like 4 games, and that's relying on like City,
Mhm.
Arsenal,
Not
and
to
Chelsea
then
winning
lose.
every single one. It's just not happening. Like
Like,
you just can't
We
see
could
Liverpool
get an
doing
injury.
that.
Yeah.
Injury crisis would fuck
That'd
us.
be
Well,
the
he
only
said-
way.
Injury
That'd be the
crisis
only
would
way.
Slot said, I
like-
watched the press conference after the game, and he said, the only thing is now the games are thick and fast, and I've only got 5 defenders to pick from. I've only got an option to rotate one, which is Kwanzaa.
By the way, the thing that I think Slot's done amazing though, and I think he's looked at and seen all those injuries that we had under Klopp and stuff, he's managed that, I think, like really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think they've probably sat down and looked at the data and been like, and looked at the injury list and stuff like that, and they've obviously then focused on that and been like, I think he's. I remember him saying, because by the way, under Klopp, like it used to be the same 11 all the time.
Yeah.
Used to be the same 11 like Thursday, Sunday. Like it was literally constant. He's 100% used the squad and kept everyone happy, like really, really well. Like left back situation, Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai, Nunes, Jota were rotating, Diaz, Gakpo have been rotating.
Yeah.
Like he's
Gravenberg's
totally
gotta
used
be
the
a little
squad
bit of a
there.
worry.
Yeah.
Because he plays. Gravenberg actually basically plays 90,
And-
and also probably didn't play like competitive football for a year and a half.
I'm still a little concerned in there. I think.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I
am I,
think if you
because-
lose Gravenberg, we then go to not having we then don't have a holding midfielder.
It's the same as City. The team changes.
I don't think.
McAllister can play there, but it's not the same as Gravenberch playing there.
I still don't see him as
Yeah.
like a proper holding midfielder
Neither
anyway.
do I.
But
Neither do
I don't see him as like that kind of midfielder. But if we do it, he's then probably gonna go Curtis Jones, McAllister, Szoboszlai. Like that's a big difference. It's still pretty lightweight. I think that for
Yeah.
playing week in week out in the Premier League. So there's still injuries in that could
Yeah. It's
fuck
not
us
over.